Hello students, LFHP KANKVALI College KANKVALI, Assistant Teacher Mahadeshwar MV. Today we are going to deal with 1.1 An Astrologer's Day, passage 4. The passage is having the starting with the line "Stop," said the other, and ending on page number 6 with the line "The other looked gratified to hear it." So first of all I will read that. You have to listen that very carefully. You must have your textbook in front of you aside by this video. "Stop," said the other. "I don't want all that. Shall I succeed in my present search or not? Answer this and go. Otherwise, I will not let you go till you disgorge all your coins." The astrologer muttered a few incantations and replied, "All right, I will speak, but will you give me a rupee if what I say is convincing? Otherwise, I will not open my mouth, and you may do what you like." After a good deal of haggling, the other agreed. The astrologer said, "You were left for dead, am I right? Ah, tell me more." "A knife has passed through you once," said the astrologer. "Good fellow." He bared his chest to show the scar. "What else?" "And then you were pushed into a well nearby in the field. You were left for dead. I should have been dead if some passer-by had not chanced to peep into the well," exclaimed the other, overwhelmed by enthusiasm. When shall I get at him?" he asked, clenching his fist. "In the next world," answered the astrologer. "He died 4 months ago in a far-off town. You will never see any more of him." The other groaned on hearing it. The astrologer proceeded. "Guru Nayak, you know my name?" the other said, taken aback. "As I know all other things, Guru Nayak, listen carefully to what I have to say. Your village is 2 days' journey due north of this town. Take the next train and be gone. I see once again great danger to your life if you go from home." He took out a pinch of sacred ash and held it to him. "Rub it on your forehead and go home. Never travel southward again, and you will live to be 100. "Why should I leave home again?" the other said reflectively. "I was only going away now and then to look for him, to choke out his life if I met him." He shook his head regretfully. "He has escaped my hands. I hope at least he died as he deserved." "Yes," said the astrologer. "He was crushed under a lorry." The other looked gratified to hear it. So now we are going for the explanation. Before going for the first dialogue, which was uttered by the stranger, we must know the back linkage, that whose dialogue that was, astrologer, and he was talking about the woman, and there was the interruption. So in the last video we have seen that why there was the interruption, why there was the ellipsis, because of the dialogue of astrologer was curtailed down by or stopped by the stranger, and he said that stop. He didn't want such a kind of stuff. He has particular question, or he had one particular question at his heart. And what was that? He was on the search of someone, and whatever the search he was doing, whether it could be successful or not. And he mentioned that the astrologer must give the answer of this and he should go. Otherwise, suppose he was unable to tell, the astrologer was unable to tell the answer, or without telling that answer he went off, then definitely he couldn't do that. Why? Because he was very stubborn, already we have seen. So anyhow he has to tell the truth. Otherwise he has to, means astrologer has to or had to disgorge all his coins over there. So there is the word disgorge, which was given the meaning here by them, that is ill surrender under pressure. There is one more meaning, that pour out, pouring something unwillingly. So both the meanings are there, that if suppose astrologer was unable to tell the answer, in the pressure he has to pour out his disgorge from his bag. So disgorge means yield, surrender under pressure, or pour out all his coins unwillingly. To deepen that meaning at your heart, I will show you one video, audio video. Listen that very carefully.
Disgorge. To vomit or spew, to discharge.
This is the first meaning of it, to vomit or spew or to discharge.
To surrender stolen goods or money, for example, unwillingly.
Here it is the meaning which is having the linkage with our context. To surrender stolen goods or money, for example, unwillingly. So whatever the money the astrologer had, he has to disgorge all his coins towards that stranger. If he was unable to tell the probable answer which was expected by the stranger.
To remove traces of yeast from sparkling wine by the method champagne ruse.
This is one more meaning.
D-I-S-G-O-R-G-E. Disgorge.
Here it is one more meaning, that is pour out. The continuation of the same pouring out, but this time it is unwilling. You can get that feeling. Someone is saying harshly to someone to get out from that place. That means pouring out something unwillingly. There are few other meanings too. You should know. I'm sure that you have got exact meaning of disgorge from that video too, and my explanation. So shall we lead towards the next line? So up to now we have seen that what was the saying of that particular stranger, what he wanted from the astrologer, what kind of answer he wanted, of which question, and what was the warning given by him to that astrologer. Then what was the reaction given by our astrologer? The astrologer muttered a few incantations and replied, "All right, I will speak, but will you give me a rupee if what I say is convincing? Otherwise, I will not open my mouth, and you may do what you like." So the astrologer muttered a few incantations. Incantations, that is given here some magical words he muttered. So may I have to tell you the meaning of mutter. Here it is. Mutter, here it is. Mutter means say something in a low or barely audible voice, and that's called mutter. No doubt here what is the addition, that especially in dissatisfaction or irritation, that is not that much appropriate to, but at the feeling of that astrologer. But yes, he was irritated by that man, and but anyhow he has told talk in very barely audible voice. He has to not open up which kind of magical words he had uttered over there. So such a kind of, in short we can call it talking in very low sound or barely audible sound, that is called, or voice, that's called mutter. So he muttered a few incantations. Incantations means some magical words, and he mentioned something. But this time you could sense again the confidence of the astrologer. He mentioned that yes, definitely I will speak, but you have to pay me 1 rupee for that. Otherwise, definitely I won't open my mouth, and whatever you will do, I don't care about. At your heart, suppose you wanted to beat me, you can, but I will not open my mouth. Suppose you will not pay me a rupee. That was clear cut reaction given by, or clear cut answer given by our astrologer. After a good deal of haggling, the other agreed, and definitely there was haggling. They have given themselves. Haggling means what? Bargaining. After a good bargaining, the other means the stranger, he said that okay, I will pay you a rupee. Then the astrologer started to go for prediction, or he started to predict. The astrologer said what he had predicted over there. He mentioned that you were left for dead. Am I right? He mentioned like that. So first of all, try to understand what is meant by left for dead. Actually, this is the phrase live for dead. Live for dead, and left for dead is the past tense of that phrase. So you can easily read that one. Live for dead means to abandon a person or other living creature that is injured or otherwise incapacitated, assuming that the death of the one abandoned will soon follow. So that was there, means you know that the particular next person or the animal or bird whosoever who is insured one, he is going to be dead, but you are not helping that, instead you are leaving that place. So such a kind of situation is called leaving someone for dead. So he mentioned that you were left for dead, and he asked the question, am I right? So the stranger was very stubborn, aggressive, he was very determined. He mentioned that tell me more, means I want something more, this is not enough. A knife has passed through you once, said the astrologer, and now this time astrologer mentioned the cause of that first incident in which the stranger was left for dead by someone. So he mentioned that once you have the attack from the knife, and this time who was getting impressed by this prediction, that particular prediction which was found by that stranger true, and that's why he mentioned like good fellow, means who he exclaimed in curiosity or sorry, he got pleasant surprise that yes, this man or the astrologer going on the right path. So he said good fellow, and he bared his chest to show the scar. So he wanted to show the scar or mark of wound. Scar means mark of wound or sign of that wound. What else? Tell me further. So let me show you what is meant by scar here. So no doubt he had the attack of a knife on his chest, but I found some very violent images of such a kind of scars on chest. That's why I dropped them, and I decided to have such a kind of sober scar, because the kids are going to see that, that's why. So you can see that there is one scar visible on the knee. So I think many times we are also fallen down on the ground, sometimes we are getting wound, and after a few days that wound is converted into scar. So such a scar he was having, but on his chest, and the cause was, which weapon was used against him? That was knife. So this is the first incident. This was the first incident. He was living by someone for dead. The first incident was someone attack attack on him by knife. on chest. Now the next one means he mentioned another incident, second incident, in which he was again uh, left for dead. What was that incident? See here. And then you were pushed into a well nearby in the field. You were left for dead. So second time you were thrown by someone into that well, or pushed by someone into a well, so that you can be dead. So you are left for dead again, so twice. So suppose they will ask you the activity, that how many times, so mention the times, how many times he was facing, or he faced his death in front. Twice, two times. First one, that was attacked by knife on his chest. At that moment only that scar was remaining. He was getting his life back. And in the second time, someone pushed him into well, and this time the particular stranger had accepted the reality, and he had given the detailing of that scene, why happened, how happened, who saved his life. So that is, I should have been dead if some passerby had not chanced to peep into the well, exclaimed the other, overwhelmed by enthusiasm. And this time in his voice you could feel overwhelming expression, where he was overwhelmed, he cannot control his emotions, overwhelming. And with which feeling was the enthusiasm. Before that there is one word, passerby. He was saved by one passerby, and suppose passerby was not paying attention towards that stranger, definitely he couldn't save his life. So what is meant by passerby? Here you could get the meaning. Passerby means what? A person who happens to be going past something, especially on foot, as like this. So here I will magnify the image so that you can get. Here you could see one man who is walking on the road and looking towards that one side of the road where some protest is going on. So this time what happened, the passerby who is walking on the road, he is paying attention towards that protest. So in the same manner, imagine that nearby there was the well, and aside by one road, and on that road passerby was walking, and suddenly he had seen that he heard some noise or sound from coming from the well. So he peep in into that well, and he saved the life. So what is meant by peep into well? This is called peep. To look at something quickly and secretly, especially through a small opening. To be in a position where small part of somebody or something can be seen. So that's called peep, means look into something. So he had seen, that passerby had seen into the well because of the noise, or help, such a kind of sound maybe, of that man or the stranger, and he saved the life of that stranger. And while telling this or narrating this incident to the astrologer, his voice was overwhelmed, means he could not control his emotions. So overwhelmed, the new word is here. Bury or drawn beneath a huge mass of something, especially water, but this is not the meaning here. Have a strong emotional effect on. He received such a kind. Why he was feeling overwhelmed? Because what the things happen in his life, exactly the same were narrated by the astrologer. There was no any kind of loophole, there was no any kind of fault. Hence he was getting that, yes, how much true the person is talking, this may be, definitely he is genuine astrologer, and he cannot control his emotion. So he has got a great or strong emotional effect on his mind. Such a condition is called overwhelm. This time overwhelming is of different kinds, sometimes happy, sad. Here that is enthusiastic, because he, yes, the next person is exactly on the right path, and if he is on the right path, definitely I would get the exact answer of my expected question. He was expecting the answer of particular question, he desired to know that, and definitely he was willing to have that, and he felt that yes. such a kind of enthusiasm. He was overwhelmed by enthusiasm. Yes, because within a fraction I would get the probable answer of my question. Hence he was overwhelmed with enthusiasm. Then with that enthusiasm he asked one more question: when shall I get at him? Means he was on the search of which man? The particular man who pushed him into a well. For what sake? For he had left him for dead. So when shall I get at him? When he asked such a question, he clenched his fist. So clenched fist, this time in overwhelming expression, that is enthusiasm, that he also clenched the fist. You can sense it, but this time it is not anger. It was enthusiasm. But if you will say this time, yeah, second pick you can get it. So this time someone is putting his fist on the table forcefully. That means he wanted to argue with the next, or a kind of anger is there at the heart, and that is clearly visible through this pick. So this time when he wanted to know about that man, his anger was coming at outer level, and he exposed that through his body language, that by clenching his fist. So are you getting the difference between? So the first one, overwhelmed by enthusiasm, he was very excited with, but when he asked about that man, who could be his he could who could be his murderer, he wanted to know about him, and that's why anger overpowers him, and he clenches fist angrily or forcefully. And what's the answer given by astrologer? Definitely it was not expected by the stranger in the next world. Answer of whose? Astrologer. You can't get him now. If you wanted to meet him in the next world, you have to go. That means he was dead. And what the time he mentioned, that he had given total detailing of it. He died 4 months ago in a far off town. Means that town where he had got death, it was far off town. It is long away from this place, and he died 4 months. Definitely you can't get him now in living condition. You will never see any more of him. And when such a kind of thing was mentioned by the astrologer, the next person created one paining sound, and that paining sound is called groan. The other groan on hearing it. So here it is the meaning of groan. Make a deep inarticulate sound conveying pain, despair, or pleasures. But here that sound is very pain, despair. He was about to get to that man, and suddenly he had got one more thing, that no, he couldn't get that. Or second meaning is there, it is make a low creaking sound when pressure or weight is applied. So this time the outer weight is not there on his body, but this is mental pressure, that he couldn't get that particular man. So how could be that groaning? Yes, here there is one meaning, image, and you could see that such a kind of pain was visible on his face, means groaning. So suppose your mother told that tomorrow, offering you very simple example. It couldn't be that much intensive as like this, but we are getting pain, no, and we are trying to complain, and we are showing such a kind of, suppose our mother promised that tomorrow I will give you this thing, and tomorrow also never coming today, or converted into today, then definitely you are groaning. So you are showing that, yes, or creating sound and saying that no, that means you are having pain at your heart. So at the level of this stranger, that pain is too much intensive, because he was searching for that man who tried to kill him, and the reality that he got from the astrologer, according to the astrologer, that was the reality, that he couldn't get that man. Why he couldn't get? Because he died 4 months ago in a far off town. And after getting this answer, the groan on that, and Still, the astrologer proceeded. He went off for next prediction and he called him by his name, Guru Nayak. And as being reader, we are I think first time, suppose you are reading this topic, at that moment you felt that how was he real astrologer like that? Such a surprise we got. In the same manner, Guru Nayak also was getting or collecting the same emotion. You know my name? He asked him back to, and the other said taken aback. And what happened next? Was it the stoppage or prediction or still continuation? Here it is, the still continuation. Here we can collect it. What is next prediction or warning given by astrologer to Guru Nayak? That is, as I know all other things, Guru Nayak, listen care to what I have to say. So you can realize, you just now realize that I can easily go into your past life. So in the same manner, I can search in your future. So I wanted to give you some warnings. That's why listen carefully. And what is the next prediction of him? Your village is 2-day journey due north of this town. He mentioned that from where he was coming exactly. He mentioned like that. Take the how much time for the travel and all. So he mentioned further, take the next train and be gone. So don't stay here for long. Definitely have a next train, immediate train, and went back. I see once again great danger to your life if you go from home. And suppose you are again searching for the same person or coming outside or leaving your home. Leaving your home, that means what? Leaving your village and coming back to this direction, means southward direction or something, then definitely your life will be in danger. And later on, what he had done, as he was the astrologer, he has to give some kind of sacred things. He had done the same. He took out a pinch of sacred ash and held it to him. So there is one word, pinch, that means gripping something, any kind of material or thing in our tightly and sharply between our finger and thumb. You would get that exact meaning by this image. Yes, here there is salt and that is put tightly having grip between thumb and index. So that much is called pinch. He took out a pinch of sacred ash and held it to him and further said that rub it on your forehead and go home. So have such a kind of thing and you can go home and never travel southward again. So by that way you can realize, if you are a sharp minded student, you can calculate that northern side of astrologer's village, that means southward side of that stranger would be the same village where astrologer was living. So that connectivity we must know, because in the next passage the mystery will be resolved. How? Up to now you have got the question that how that astrologer was continuously getting all the truth and all. Those students who have already read the topic, they knew that what's that, but those who hadn't read, for them, or the first time reader, the person who is reading this topic first time, definitely he felt that how could the answer is having resolution at the last passage. So that's why do remember this connectivity, what that never travel southward again and you will live to be 100. So suppose you are not coming towards southward of yours, definitely you will live to be 100. Then obvious happy answer given by whose? Happy, thoughtful, you can get that in this line. Why I said thoughtful the word? Why should I leave home again? The other said reflectively. Reflectively, here is the word, characterized by quiet thought or contemplation, capable of reflecting a reflective surface. Obviously, suppose you are having such a kind of prediction from the astrologer that up to now everything was going smoothly, you saved your life somehow or this way, but in next future suppose you will cross this boundary, you will be in trouble. So obviously then we are started to think and all. Yes, definitely, and in such a kind of reflection he was trying to think, and definitely puzzle of there somewhere, and that reflection was quite visible on his face. So he reflectively mentioned that why should I leave home again? Definitely I'm not going to leave my home again. I was only going away now and then to look for him to choke out his life if I met him. So up to now, the wondering that was I or searching I was doing only for one reason. I had done that for somehow I can get that man, and definitely I will stop his life. So choke out his life if I meet him means what? I also wanted to kill him. So just now I got the news that he already died. So definitely my search is stopped. Definitely I have to go back to my home. And he shook his head regretfully. And in saying that, he shook his head regretfully. So regretfully means he was not happy with that, because he wanted to kill that person with his own hand, but he was unable to. He found that that man died much before, or 4 months before. He has escaped my hands. Why he felt regretful or unhappy? Because that man has escaped from his hands. I hope at least he died as he deserved. Means he felt that suppose that man is dead, oh, that's okay, but at least he must get such a kind of tragic, drastic death, that he wanted to say that. Yes, said the astrologer, and astrologer said yes, definitely. His death was too much tragic or drastic. And what was the cause of his death? He was crushed under a lorry. He was crushed under a lorry. Lorry is a kind of heavy vehicle. You could see that, not exactly the same. There are different types of lorries are there. I found some for you. So, what was the cause of his death? That was he crushed under a lorry. After listening that, the regretful face of that man changed, and he looked what? Gratified, as like this, pleased and satisfied. Who was pleased and satisfied by the news? The stranger. Why? Because what he expected, what kind of death he wanted for that particular person who wanted to kill him, the same was got by, means according to him, that was got by that person who wanted to kill him, and that's why he became gratified. So I think you have got good understanding of this passage. This is very straightforward passage. If you observe very carefully, except first passage, we other for other passages we are leading in very fast manner, because there is nothing any kind of difficulty. Just you have to go through the listening and activities, solving the activities, and just read that topic again and again. You will easily get that. This is one simple story, just only vocabulary. Some words are new, not, I can't call them difficult. New words are there, but you have to remember them. You have to go through all the activities. Definitely you can resolve all the activities or any question in the final exam. So I'm sure that you have understood all the things, and now we are leading towards, yes, activities. Here they are. As usual, again I will repeat the instruction that I will send this page of activity to our WhatsApp group. You have to solve them. If you have any doubt, if you will face any doubt, if you have any query, you can ask me that. So with these smiley faces, definitely we are going today away from, but definitely coming with next passage. Till then, stay home, stay safe.